The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Rule. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, a verdict handed down today in the unnatural sex trial of former 8 Mile Rock teacher Andre Burbal. It took jurors in the nation's capital a little more than 3 hours to return 2 unanimous guilty verdicts in the Burbal unnatural sex trial. The 51-year-old Trinidadian and former art teacher at 8 Mile Rock High School showed no reaction to the verdict. Sentencing is set for May 9th, and a probation report will be compiled until that time. Burbal will remain behind bars. Now, the former art teacher faced 2 counts of unnatural sexual intercourse with a former student for incidents that occurred between January and June 2002, while the victim was in the 7th grade, and again when the victim was in the 9th grade between September 2003 and January 2004. Further details on Burbal's guilty verdict will come at 7 p.m. 2 American visitors accused of killing Pennsylvania youth leader Carl Yoder in Allentown, Bimini back on March 13th was charged in New Providence today. The 2 Americans were both charged with manslaughter before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt. Now, we spoke with the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Emerick Seymour, about the latest development.
Tyler Michael Valles, and I spell the last name Vales. He's a 19-year-old of Key Largo, Florida. And the second one is Robert Francis Swatch, aged 62 years, of Gaylordsville, Connecticut. Both individuals are charged with manslaughter. When it comes to murder, there has to, intent has to be proven, and of course, our investigations is suggestive of the fact that it may not have been the intent of the individuals concerned to really kill or cause the death of this individual, hence manslaughter.
In court today, the 2 accused were not required to enter a plea. A voluntary bill of indictment is expected to be filed. Police say Yerger's body was found in the garden of a local resort in Bimini with multiple stab wounds. 4 persons were initially arrested in connection with the incident. ACP Seymour says from all accounts, it would appear that the fatal stabbing took place after an alleged altercation.
The 4 suspects were crew members on board a vessel that was moored at the marina of the resort in question. And somehow our investigation suggests that the victim would have found himself or ended up on the vessel, which further suggested that a struggle ensued as a result, and of course which escalated on to the dock area. Where the eventual stabbing would have taken place. As far as we're concerned, and as far as our investigation suggests, the victim was not known to the arrested persons.
Now, both accused were granted $35,000 bail, and they're expected to return to the Bahamas on May 19th for service of voluntary bill of indictment papers. In other news, Freeport Harbor and Bahamas Oil Refining Company, or BORCO, defending their standards of safety operations. The companies have been the focus of a dispute with members of the newly formed Bahamas Maritime Pilotage Association under the leadership of its managing director, Aaron Ferguson. Ferguson raised several concerns over incidents of anchorage and lack of training for pilots. While in separate press statements, both companies refuted those claims, asserting that their safety records are supported on many levels. They also questioned the intentions of the BPMA, which is attempting to set up an independent organization for pilots. BORCO officials maintain that the clear intention is to establish a for-profit monopoly enterprise for financial gain. As for the claims of lack of training, the Freeport Harbor Company made it clear that it has consistently complied with the recommendations of the International Maritime Organization, or the IMO, requirements, and that's inclusive of ensuring ongoing training for all pilots and maritime industry personnel. Also in news this evening, last month, those Marine pilots handed in a 30-day notice of resignation as they moved to organize themselves into a private entity. Now, in the wake of the situation comes an appeal for an amicable resolution. Joan Davis-Roll has this story.
They should not be penalized for standing up for that. And if they are penalized, someone needs to step in and stop it.
Principal owner and businessman Ray Dowell of the Overseas Marine Group weighing in on the controversial resignation of marine pilots here on Grand Bahama. Dowell says he has assisted in the training of many of these Bahamian professionals working at the Bahamas Oil Refinery Company, BORCO, and the Freeport Harbor. Pilots whom he described as some of the most outstanding marine pilots in this region.
Everywhere else in the world, they are contracted. Here, they're working for a company. In a lot of other parts of the world, they're contracted because of certain requirements. They don't want conflicts of interest. They don't want, a lot of different factors. But I think mostly they want that the talent, the Bahamian talent, are actually being paid what the standard is in the rest of the world.
Dowell says some common ground must be attained, and all parties involved should work towards this end.
I hold nothing against any of the companies for trying to make money, because that's what they're in the business to do. They're in the business to make money. But at the same time, the pilots that are fighting for their rights, they shouldn't be victimized or told to be shut up. How they go about it, they're trying. They might not go about it, the exact right way. BORCO or the big companies might not go about it just the exact right way. But all I have to say is that the two of them sit down and try to come to some kind of an agreement. Don't one versus the other stand on their heels and say, this ain't going to happen, or this, shut up, or vice versa. If you don't do this, I can really hurt you. There's got to be a give and a take.
He offered this advice while underscoring the vital role these marine pilots play within the maritime industry.
I believe that the only way that this is going to work is if they get somebody to mediate this from the outside, like urban renewal or like government, to stand up and say, these are boys or men that have strived to be in the perfection. It's not easy to take that trade. It's not easy to do the job that they do. I mean, it's 24/7, there's stress. I know what it's like to try to bring in a big ship against the dock and try to, it's nothing to play with. A lot of people's lives are at stake, a lot of things are at stake, and every single time that stress is on those men.
Joan Davis Roll, ZNS Network News.
Young people on Grand Bahama getting the opportunity to be professionally trained through the government's national initiative. Tonight, Sabrina Brown tells us that the National Training Agency is presently conducting registration 2 weeks ahead of the start of the program on this island.
The National Training Agency began its official registration process at the C.A. Smith Complex on Tuesday for young people between the ages of 16 and 29 years.
You're asking them to bring in their birth certificate or passport, their national insurance card, or a voter's card, anything that has a personal ID that can identify them as a Bahamian. Then we're asking for 2 photos, a resume, references, any certification that they may have, just to back up their support, because the National Training Agency, our main object is to train them, get them certified, and of course, get them employed.
Office Manager Norma Pyfram says although the first day got off to a slow start, the agency has already received a number of applications.
We have done our registration with the help of Urban Renewal. They went to the different centers, and I've contacted them, and they've given me their count, and so far about 200 in total thus far.
Pyfram says the agency is working with a number of industries in this training program.
We are partnering with the Grand Bahama Shipyard, the Freeport Container Port, and other agencies that will assist us to get persons to train in the areas that we really need to be trained.
According to Pyfram, the agency plans to accommodate up to 300 young people in the first training session. The program is expected to start on March 31st, and she notes that the first 4 weeks of training is mandatory.
After the mandatory training, there is an examination. They must pass that examination. Then there is another training for specific areas, whether you want to be a receptionist or whether you want to go to the shipyard, and those training can start from 8 weeks or 10 weeks. And after that training, there's a certification. You must pass that exam. And the examination, the syllabus we are using is from City and Guilds.
Registration will run through Thursday at the C.A. Smith Complex from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition continues right after this.
Bringing news that matters to you. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Welcome back. A teen center operated by the City of Freeport Council attacked by vandals. This criminal act coming after the council invested thousands of dollars in renovations. Megan Shepard has this story.
Chief Counselor for the City of Freeport, Kevin Ferguson, says he received a phone call around 11:45 p.m. Monday evening from the security guard at the center regarding small children deliberately breaking glass at the center. He says incidents of vandalism such as this is a major setback to the positive activities they're trying to implement.
We just want the public to understand that they need to pay more attention to their kids, because these are kids. You know, we had the open house here the other day, and the tent man left his tent overnight, and $2,800 worth of vandalism to the tent, cut it up with a knife, those kind of things. And here you have graffiti in the worst possible form, profanity, sexual type messages, you know. And for our kids to be thinking like that, it means that they're not properly supervised when they should be supervised. There's no reason for a child, as the security indicated, to be out around 12 o'clock in the night. Where are the parents?
Ferguson says it is time for parents to be more responsible for the actions of their children, and the community should step in as well to help be positive role models.
I believe that society has to now take a step in the direction of being our brother's keeper. We look at kids and we say they're rude, but they're not my kids, and whatever the case may be. But they may not be your kids, but your good kids is at some point in time going to interact with those kids, and their behavior is going to affect your child's outcome. And so we have to now look at it and see how best we could be a community that helps one another.
Ferguson says that they are now planning to implement new security measures.
Councillors would have decided that while it may be costly, we have to take that step in putting up some cameras to sort of deter. Because if they believe, even though God's watching, they don't really pay too much attention to what God's doing, but we will be watching from a camera standpoint and be able to pinpoint the persons that are doing these things and bring them to justice. And if they're kids, bring their parents to justice, because they ought to know where their kids are and what they're doing.
The chief counselor says the authorities have been contacted regarding the vandalism and investigations are underway. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Well, she isn't an educator. She's just a parent who is using her experience to help students who may be slipping through the cracks. Marketing executive Dayuna Pitter says it's the students who are in the middle of the grading scale who often struggles to determine what course he or she should take in the future. Pitter knows this firsthand and wants to bring about a change for other students who may be facing the same dilemma. She's organizing a weekly seminar throughout the month of April just to cater to students who need to be inspired and encouraged. She's calling it Journey to Self-Discovery, a seminar that is projected to create a path and direct students to what they would want to do in the future.
We want to get these kids on a path that would help them create their own success, as opposed to looking for a job or looking to the government to help them. We talk about how the government is failing society because of the crime problem that's going on. But if we don't take the step in trying to help these kids to find something to do, something to occupy their time, and to give them a purpose in life, then we will never solve the crime problem.
Now, the seminar is free for students in grades 9 through 12, and the organizers are looking for some corporate sponsors. The Bahamas Union of Teachers is endorsing the Journey to Self-Discovery.
You know, we don't have a concept of a Bahamian dream, and we need to develop what that is, and let every young person know that through hard work, dedication, not giving up a can-do spirit, they can achieve whatever they want. We have a blessed country, and we must always have a can-do spirit. And so I'm always excited when citizens unprovoked come up with their own ideas about how to meet the challenges and to solve them. I think in our country we have a concept of government dependency, And I think we need to get away from that and start looking at what we can do as citizens, as individuals, and how we can partner together to bring about successful ideas and programs and endeavors for our young people.
Now, that seminar will be held at the Church of Christ in Freeport every Saturday throughout the month of April, beginning at 9 a.m. As Bahamas Customs Department closes out its centennial, officers are taking the historic time to appreciate the past and map out the future. Officer Michelle Collins says over the past 100 years, the department has funded and guided the development of this country, and she is proud to be a customs officer.
I wish to remind you that the Customs Department plays a crucial role in the economic and social development of this country. It contributes to its well-being. It has funded our nation and has guided our development as a people. Customs revenue had allowed our borders to be protected by the police, the Bahamas Defense Force, and Bahamas Immigration. It has also helped us to provide with the buildings of schools, roads, and hospitals. Therefore, the importance of the Customs Department cannot be overemphasized.
Now, the organization will celebrate its success and centennial anniversary starting this Friday with a flag-raising ceremony.
The 23rd of March, the Customs Department will host a special service at the Freeport Bible Church off John Tinker Road, beginning at 3 p.m. The senior pastor is Reverend Will Bowden. Immediately following the church service, Customs revenue officers will participate in a grand parade accompanied by the world-famous Bahama Brass Band to Customs headquarters on the Mall Drive. On Saturday, the 5th of April, at 9 a.m., staff members will visit the senior citizens at Burroughs' house. We will conduct a community outreach by cleaning around the grounds, in addition to donating some products to be used at the home.
Well, to get the full schedule of events, you can contact the Customs Department during regular business hours. Stay with us, Ricardo Lightborn, as a check on sports when we return.
Hey everybody, it's Sports Time. I'm Ricardo Lightborn. Tonight, sports dedicated to Leon Arribas' uncle, Reed Bartlett, celebrating, and he is still going strong. He says, I'm not getting in that. Also, my friend Scott, he's with Ted Mackey tonight. He's celebrating as well. They doing all kinds of wrong things, so I ain't getting in that either. Well, fishing for a worthy cause is the purpose of the Grand Bahama Shipyard Youth Benefit Fishing Tournament, folks, at the Grand Bahama Yacht Club. It's all systems go for Saturday, and yes, I've got a space on a boat. Get those boats ready for March 22nd, the 4th annual Grand Bahama Shipyard Fishing Tournament. The size of the boat doesn't matter. It's the youth benefit tournament with great rewards. The committee is excited about the tournament set for this weekend and positive. Ed Peavy is the tournament director. The Grand Bahama Yacht Club is the venue.
We are very, very pleased to be able to do this, to provide funding for some of the community projects here on Grand Bahama Island. As everybody knows, this is our 4th tournament, and last year's tournament was the 3rd, and we raised over $60,000 that we were able to contribute to the primary schools on the West End: Bartlett Hill Primary, Martintown Primary, and Holmes Rock Primary.
The prize money is bigger this year, and for good reason. There's going to be more support.
The prize money is over $4,000 in prizes. We have a first place, a second place, and a third place overall. And then we have individual catches for the largest grouper, snapper, mahi-mahi, tuna, kingfish, wahoo, and barracuda. We've changed up the format a little bit this year. Each team will be allowed to weigh in 2 fish per category. And points are based on the weight of the fish and the difficulty in catching.
Okay, boaters, you have just a few days to tune up your vessels and get ready for the spectacular event this weekend. Fish for the youth of Grand Bahama. Well, folks, the Grandmama Yacht Club is going to be converted to carnival atmosphere. The tournament is a family event, and also the anglers, well, they're going to be out there chasing the fish. Well, as they are going to be getting on top of us, families will be having a blast on shore as far as activities. Well, that is Craig Moxie and Theo Pelicanos is inviting Grand Bahama to take in all the festivities so you can see all the fish being weighed in and have yourself a great time.
It promises to be a lot of fun for the kids. We got bouncing castles, water slides, lots of snow cones and hamburgers and hot dogs, and we would really like the support of the community because all of these funds that are raised from this event, we use it to help the schools and other organizations in Grand Bahama.
You can like us on Facebook. We have the 4th annual Grand Bahama Shipyard Fishing Tournament. You can also register online. The registration form is on our site, www.grandbahamashipyard.com.
And the Grandma Yacht Club will once again pull out all the stops for this year's fishing tournament. Ryan Knowles says that, hey, you are not going to be disappointed on Saturday as all the fish are going to be coming in and you're going to have yourself a blast.
Of New Hope Holdings, Grand Bahama Yacht Club, we'd like to say it's a pleasure for us to be again hosting this event here at this venue with Ed and Creighton and the shipyard crew. We came together some years ago and we worked together as a family and a team. And we just want to say we want to welcome all of Grand Bahama, all the fishermen. We want you guys to come out and support this tournament.
And my boat is going to be on is going to be called the Poggy Eagle. Leave that where it is. Little League Baseball played on the weekend in interleague action. St. Paul's Park was the stop. Let's go see what happened. Baseball at the St. Paul's College Park with the Grand Bahama Little League Borco Buccaneers taking on the Pelican Bay Flyers. The early innings, a defensive game, the grounder, and the out at first base. The Flyers pitching was up to the challenge. That's a good fastball for the strikeout. Pelican Bay on offense. The pitch, it's a fastball, but this one gets popped up to second for the out. The Buccaneers tried to start a rally with the runner on second base. The base hit to center field. The runner is moving on the play and will score all the way from second base. But Pelican Bay Flyers were not fazed and took advantage of the Buccaneers' errors and rolled up the runs. The Flyers 9-10 defeated the Buccaneers 13-4 to score. In the 11-12 showdown, the Flyers defeated the Buccaneers 15-2. A productive weekend for Pelican Bay. Let's now go to rugby. Freeport Rugby Club hosting the Buccaneers out of New Providence in the Bahamas Cup Clash. And it's Freeport putting the youth on the pitch. They responded with the speed and some good passing. They are called game breakers. A capacity crowd on hand to watch this one, and for good reason. Freeport came out with an aggressive game plan and took the action right to the Buccaneers. This was a tough one. The youth aspect of Freeport Rugby Club was taking that rightful place with a number of aggressive plays, and they are rolling up the score. The Buccaneers were in a war's nest, and guess what? The miscues did not help the situation any against aggressive Freeport. It was a tough game, and out of the scrum, the tackling on the field said it all. Rock'em sock'em rugby, 52-12, Freeport in control. Freeport taking the action to the Bucks right up the gut. The try, boy, Freeport simply rolling here. Freeport was not done yet. Here comes another speed merchant for the team, some nifty passing, and yet another try in the ball game to the delight of Freeport fans. Freeport defeated the Buccaneers 71-12 in a match that Freeport celebrated, but for the Bucks, it was one they really want to forget. Rugby. That's a look at your sports tonight.